Hey guys, it's Vincent, and I'm here to do a quick Ableton Live tutorial for you. Today I want to just take you quickly through how to make your own drum rack. I'm using Ableton Live 8. I know that may be a dinosaur program to a lot of people out there. Not Ableton Live, but the fact that I'm using 8. Uh, but I like it, and I may be able to afford to upgrade to 10 sometime soon. But for right now, 8 has been lovely. This is 8 Suite, which means it comes with some extra sounds and stuff on it. I don't know what Ableton you might be running, but I'm sure we'll get around whatever we need to do here. So the basics here we're looking at is making a drum rack. Drum racks will go in on a MIDI, not an audio track, a MIDI track. I like to build my, when I'm building a drum rack, I like to do it in track view. You'll see there's these two circles here. This one circle on the bottom, it has vertical lines, and the top one has horizontal lines. Vertical line button means you're looking at mixer view, which is sort of up and down, sort of like how a mixer would be if you would imagine a mixer on a table in front of you and you got your sliders going up and down. And then your horizontal view is a track view, which is kind of like your classic DAW look, the same way like Adobe or any of those programs or Reason have, where it's like left to right going across. I like to create my drum rack in this view. So first thing you want to do is you want to go up to your device browser, and you want to double click on this rectangle if you have something already open, because this is sort of like when you double click on that, it brings you to the root. And the root here, you got your audio effects, your MIDI effects, and your instruments. What you're going to want to do is click the down. Yeah, you want to open up the you want to hit the what do you call it? The drop down menu. Thank you, Vincent. The drop down menu. You want to drop down so that all the instrument selections are there, and at the very bottom you'll see drum rack. Drum rack has the drop down as well, but we're not going to drop it down quite yet. What we want to do is you want to grab the drum rack, the rectangle, and we want to bring it over to the MIDI track. You can bring it right into the track itself. You could drop it right on where it says MIDI track, but either which way, there it is. So now that you've got the drum rack, you see you've got this grid down here, and this grid represents pads, should you have pads. It also just represents the MIDI notes here that are being played. So if you have a keyboard and not pads, you can still find these MIDI notes on here. And you can also choose up in options at the top of the screen. Now, for some reason, this video capture program I'm using seems to clip out anything going on outside of the program. But just up here, above here, there's options. And in options, you can select computer MIDI keyboard on or off. It's a check mark thing. And that means you can use your computer keyboard like your MIDI controller, and then you can sort of figure out where the notes are there. But moving on from that, we have our drum rack here. There it is. Lovely thing. And now we want to add some sounds to it. Now, if you have a Suite version, if you have Ableton Live Suite, you will have, that's SUITE, you will have internal sounds. So let's just see what we got in here for internal sounds. So here I am. I'm looking. Oh, look at that. I got down at the bottom here, after all my saved racks, I have toms, snares, percussions, Latin percussion, kick, hi-hat, and cymbal. We also have kits. In a kit, you can grab one of these and drop it on your drum rack, and it will automatically fill your pads with sounds. These are pre-made kits. These are factory kits. Let's just drop it here. Now, if you put it right over where it says drum rack, it should just fill it up. I wouldn't suggest trying to drop it on a single pad. It seems to, I'm not sure exactly what it does, if it just selects one sound, or I'm not exactly sure what happens there, but it doesn't work out so well in my recollection. So when we take a kit and we put the thing on the drum rack itself, then it fills it up with a pre-made kit. It's got all kinds of things. It's got different effects and stuff like that already going on here. So that's something that's been pre-designed. You can hit these little triangles here and listen to the sound. And if you hit record up here, if you hit the arm button, if you arm the track, you also have the option to try out the sounds on your pads. Okay? But let's say we're not satisfied with the kits that Ableton provides, which is often the case in my experience. You may want to just go back to the sounds, the single sounds. Like the the whole kit. You may just want to try to find your own kick. So now we've got this whole kit going on here. We've got tons of sounds in it. What we want to do, in case, watch out for that, what I just did. You can sometimes roll past your grid. See, it goes all the way up and all the way down. If you had like a full-size keyboard and stuff like that, you could actually fill sounds from 100 sounds from the first key, or 88 sounds, 88 keys from the first to the last, and maybe even more. But I digress. So what I'm trying to talk to you about is restarting your drum rack back, so you can left click on the drum rack, pull it over the kit, the drum rack that's existing, and reset it to an empty kit. Now we're going to scroll back down to our section of drum sounds, and there's our kick sounds. Let's grab this kick white. I'm going to put it on the bottom left pad. That's where I'm going to put mine. I want to listen to it. There it is, a nice bassy kick, pretty good. You can do the same now with a snare. You can find a snare. I did a kick white. Why don't I do snare white? I'm going to drop it over. That's left click, grab it, pull it down while holding. So I should specify, when you hold down the left click on the snare white, and then you drag it while holding, and when you're over this box, you release. And then it's on there. You can test it. Okay. You can then go ahead with a hi-hat, and you can just take one, you can drag it down, release, play it, and you can take this, drag it down, and release. And let's hear it. Okay, now if you want to hear these sounds with your pad or your keyboard, you want to make sure this is armed. This track needs to be armed. When it's armed, then you can hit the pads to make the sounds. I'm sorry if that was a bit hot. It might have been a bit loud. Okay, the next thing we want to know is if it's a bit hot, if it's a bit loud. You have these buttons on the side here. Now, this is the one I want to show you. This is the chain list. If you click on that, it's going to pull up another little set of controls here. And on this side, we have volume. Okay, so if we find certain sounds a bit hot, like that one, we can crank it right down. Give our ears a break. And this one too is a bit hot as well. We can turn that down as well if we need to. Okay, so we've got our sounds. Well, we got 4 of them anyways. Let's say we're tired now. I'm tired, it's getting late. But now you have the choice now. You could just save the whole session, and Ableton will remember that this is what you were doing and how far you got in it. It's just a drum rack, unlabeled, unnamed drum rack with a few sounds on it. But let's say you think this rack's great and you want to keep it. You can you can save this drum rack. So right here you have a little diskette. It's a small picture of a diskette, and I love they have this because not everybody knows what a diskette is. It's a floppy disk, type of floppy disk. What you can do is you can click on that. You can notice up here in the device browser, you have a little highlighted section. That is your drum rack right there that we just made. We can go backspace, and we can call it. I'm going to call it my tutorial rack, my toot rack. Okay. And when I hit enter, now we have a saved rack. And anytime I come into Ableton and I want to go get that rack, I can go in and find toot rack, and I'll know that I'll have these sounds on this rack. And there you go, guys. Basic quick tutorial on how to build a drum rack. We've used internal sounds. I guess I'll show you really quick before I go how you're going to get your external sounds should you have them somewhere else. These files here, there's 3 of them. And one of these, each one of these will take you to a place you've navigated to. So you can use this one right now. You can hit parent folder and I can keep navigating. Okay, I'm in my downloads. So let's say I go into my downloads. I know here I have a little selection of drum sounds. So it's the same way as going internally. You just find your sounds using the navigator. There's 3 file folders here because if I wanted to go and look somewhere else for something else, I could navigate to here and I could go into my jazz folder and find some other sample I wanted. But if I wanted to get back to that sample bank I was looking at, I could click back on the file and I could find where I was just navigating. So here we go. We've got some interesting stuff, maybe some percussion. Okay, that's a nice sound. I want to drop that here. Maybe we take this sound. Oh, maybe another one. That one's kind of neat. Put that there. Okay, we want to listen to those. There's that and that. Now, this sound here, if you'll notice, if I hold the pad down, it plays a nice long reverby percussion sound. But when I play on it and let go of the pad too quickly, it clips it right off. So there's a way to fix that. If you look, we have our highlighted our chain list here. Right underneath that, we have there's a rectangular box as well, and it's going to pull up the parameters of this sample. This is a sample. It's a wave file, so it's an actual sound file, not just triggering from a bank. So we have a little bit more to do with how it's played. So the one thing that's going wrong, or at least is affecting this sound, maybe not going wrong, because sometimes you want it to cut off like that, is the release of it. So this release dial here, and I'll just take you back to that again. Remember we selected down here, we selected on our, I guess we call this, I can't remember what they call this, simpler, I think they call it. Anyways, it's a way of affecting your samples. It's all your ways to affect the sound. You have your attack and your decay and your disdain. You can even transpose it. You can make it a lower sound in here. But what I'm talking about right now is getting the release so that when you hit the pad, you don't have to hold it down to play the whole sound. So for this one, you crank the release to full, and then when I hit the pad, it's going to play the whole sound. But I made a mistake here because I'm not actually on the right sound. This was the sound I wanted to be in. Something to watch for. Your sounds are here. You can see the play button show up when you hit the sound. So see, I haven't actually done the release. I'll do the release. Now when I hit the pad, plays the whole sound. Okay. Now there's other things to, I'm going to wait for the next tutorial for that. I feel like this is far enough for this. So, and if you're happy with that, you've made some changes, you can hit save again. It brings you right back to Toot Rack. I'm going to hit enter, and now obviously will prompt to replace the existing file. Maybe you don't see that, but I'm just going to hit OK. And there we have it. Now we have Toot Rack has now been saved with the changes that I just made by adding external sounds to a rack that already included internal sounds. Pretty awesome, right, guys? Anyways, I hope this tutorial was informative and not too long, and I hope you're able to take this information and make some beautiful music. All right, guys, I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.